Practice has been really good. The guys are focused. They understand that we haven't met our expectations. We have better players than record. And we got a lot of young players that are making some mistakes. That's coaching. We got to get it fixed because we've recruited really, really well. And we've got to get back on track. There's a transition between being good and being great. And all of us were hoping in preseason, fans, media, our expectations that we would have taken that step right now, and we haven't. And we need to. That's the next step. And we've gone very, very quickly with our transition. Just looking at, we'd lost to Duke 3 times in a row before we got here. Nobody on our team had ever beaten Duke. So we've come a long way in a short period of time, but we're not there yet. And we got to get more consistent. In a year where we've played 4 good teams, they're tough teams. We've had a lot of guys banged up. I told the coaches we weren't getting into the excuse mode. So you've recruited well, get another guy ready to play. And that's just it. We've been playing some guys that are hobbled, and we need to quit doing that and play other guys. That's important. The league's more balanced than it's been since I've been here. And everybody in this league could beat somebody else right now. And it hasn't been like that. And I think that's something that is good for the league and makes it tough. For the rest of us, you got to play every week. It's more like the NFL. And the reason that we've had the 2 losses is turnovers. We've had 8 turnovers so far this year that we've lost. We've only forced 5, and both of those are concerns. And we last year we only lost 12 turnovers. I think in 2019 we lost 14, and we're already past half that point. So we got to take care of the ball better. You got to consistently run the ball better. We know that. And I see sparks on defense where we look great. Then I saw us look as good as we've ever looked on offense against Virginia, but we're so inconsistent, and that's what we've got to change. And I told our coaches that's on us. Players, get ready to play, get ready to go, but we've got to coach up, and we can't have the mental mistakes that we've had in the games that we haven't done well. As far as Duke, they're well coached. They're running the ball really, really well. They're balanced in their offense. They're taking care of the ball much better than they did last year. Gunnar Holmberg is playing really well. He's accurate. He's running his team well. He's taking care of the ball. He can run, which we haven't done a good job with running quarterbacks. But he's also got Durant, who's one of the best backs in the country, and one of the leaders in this league in rushing yards, and he can also catch the ball out of the backfield. And Bobo, big 6'5" guy, caught 34 balls, and they get it to him when they need it. He's their go-to guy, and he's done a tremendous job of that. Defensively, they're led by Dwayne Carter up front, and their defensive line is probably the strength of their team, even though they've got an older secondary that's playing really well. That's led by Leonard Johnson, and they're giving a lot of different looks and coming after you. So after Sam had his turnover issues last week and Georgia Tech hit him and sacked him, everybody's going to come into the game with the same game plan, and that's stop the run, get to Sam, and try to force turnovers. And that's what we've got to look at. And they're also well coached in their kicking game, and 4 of their 5 offensive linemen are back, and they're playing with a lot of confidence right now where we're not. So that's a concern going into this weekend. Questions?
All right, thanks, Coach. If you have a question, please use the raise hand button. All right, Michael Coe, you go ahead and lead us off.
Hey, Coach. So one of the scheduling quirks for this year is you guys have played 3 conference games in 4 games, and Duke has played no conference games in 4 games. Do you see that as any sort of advantage for your team going into this week?
The thing that I would say, Michael, is confidence is so key. And right now we've got to get our confidence back, and Duke's got a tremendous amount of confidence coming into the game. So they're moving the ball. They're having fun. They're winning. They're 3 straight wins. And we're coming off of a very difficult loss, which at this point in our program, any loss is going to be difficult. So it's a good question. But I think the advantage for us is we're at home. We're 10-4. Our crowd's been great. And since we've been here, we've played well at home. We said 2 of the 4 losses were number 1 Clemson, number 2 Notre Dame, and then Virginia in a tight one and App State in a tight one. So we for whatever reason feel much more comfortable playing at home right now. I'm excited about getting back in Kenan this weekend.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Hey, Mack, you mentioned recruiting well so early in the program building process. I think you've got 2 full classes in, 2.5 classes when you include that 2019 class. When you talk about parity around the league, Wake Forest and Duke are very old teams. I think Duke has 19 guys that have already got their college degrees. When you look at kind of veteran experienced players that Duke possesses versus younger, maybe more talented players, does that older approach mitigate some of the talent infusion, and does that speak to some of the parity in the league?
Greg, absolutely. And the COVID decision by the NCAA to let a lot of these super seniors come back have really helped some of these teams. And then Duke has more graduate transfers than I realized when I started looking at their roster. So we've probably got to do a better job with graduate transfers, and we need to grow up, and we need to grow up fast. And we're going to add another great recruiting year this year. So that should really help us for next year. But the future of this program looks great. We've got to get back on track. And when people say, well, there's some frustration there, well, sure, that's too. You want to win every game, and that's where we're headed. But we've got to just play more consistent. And it's funny, Greg, that you, as a coach, when you lose a ball game, questions are always different. They're harder, and obviously, and same for your players. And there's a lot of coach speak that gets involved because you don't want to be critical of assistants or players individually. And I've told our coaches, being young is not an excuse. If you're young and good, make them play good. And now we've got some great ones that will only be here 3 years. So they'll be going to the NFL after next year. So it's time to play, and we need to play good. So you throw out the excuse of injuries with a tough schedule to start the year when we had so many question marks at wide receiver and running back, and you throw out the question of youth. It's time for us to do better as coaches.
Thank you.
Thank you.
CL Brown, go ahead.
Hey, Mack, you mentioned missed tackles from the game last week, and I guess 10 being kind of a barometer mark. Is that more of an anomaly, or is that something that this week in practice you guys have kind of gone back to the fundamentals of, guys tackling? And how difficult is it even nowadays to teach tackling, given the emphasis on keeping your head, just given the changes you make in how you can tackle somebody now?
Yeah, see, all that's real. Part of the tackling problems on Saturday night with Georgia Tech were Sims and Gibbs. They're really good, and they're going to make a lot of people miss. And we needed to have more people there to do it. And then we had some structural things that we didn't do. We're still making too many mistakes. We're making 5 mistakes on defense, and it seems like all 5 are really costing us. But we work on tackling every day. So it's no different than the first day of spring practice. It is harder to tackle as much now with the rules like they are, but that's again, everybody's got the same issues. Everybody's got the same rules. And the second thing is we work on forcing turnovers every day. And we just have not been able to force the turnovers that we want to since we've been here. And that's got to change. We've always protected the ball, and we're not. And we have not gotten the turnovers that we want. And part of that's tackling. If you tackle well on first down, you get them in second and third and long, and then you can disrupt the quarterback. And we're playing much better defense. I see it coming. I know we're at some point going to have a dominant defense because of the guys we've got. We're just not there yet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, I want to go back to that 1989 game, 41-0 scoreboard game. Of the things that have occurred in your career that kind of stick in your craw, where does that rank? And over the course of time, I imagine you've had several opportunities to talk with Coach Spurrier about different things. Have you ever had a lighthearted conversation with him about that?
I did. I still don't like that picture. I probably should pull it back out. But it's really about the game, and it was worse that we got beat 41-0 on our field, and that's the last time they've beaten us. So I always thank Steve for taking the picture and putting it out there so I could use it and see it. But Steve and I were eating dinner, and Jerry, his wife's a sweetheart, and she and Sally are good friends. And Jerry looked at me and said, "I know one day you're going to love playing against Steve and just beating him as bad as you can and take a picture afterwards." And I simply said yes. Now, it hasn't happened because we haven't ever played against each other, but Steve did a tremendous job in coaching and in Duke and at Duke, and he was always a guy who was out there some. But you got to give him credit. He always did a great job, and he did it within the rules.
And as far as, is that something that you just kind of moved on from, or does it still kind of bite a little bit?
No, I got lots of issues, and that's not one of them.
Some people hold on to stuff for a long time. I wasn't sure about that one.
No,
Thank you.
I don't. I said I can. I do forgive. I don't forget. So
Gotcha.
I got it back there some, but I got lots of issues, and none of them the picture from 1989.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Isabella Gescos, go ahead.
Isabella, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Let's see, is there something we can do, Mark? Or
I don't know. Yeah, it's like a faint.
Oh, no, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
there
Oh,
we go.
perfect.
Great.
Okay, thank you. So sorry about that. Hi, Mac. How has Tony Grimes been an asset to you this season, and what do you think his ceiling is?
Tony's been a great asset for us, and he gives us a chance with Kyler McMichael to line up and play man-to-man. They're having to play more than we want with Storm Duck being out and Day Hollins being out. We thought we'd have 4 corners that we could just rotate some and play. But Kyler and Tony are playing really, really well. Anytime a ball's thrown over their head, people gripe about it, but they cover a guy man-to-man the whole game. And they bat down 4 or 5 passes, and one goes for a touchdown. Everybody screams. So they got the hardest job on the field defensively because everybody else is trying to stop the run, and those 2 are out there by themselves. And we've got to remember that Tony's just a freshman with age. He was a high school senior last year that played in only 4 games. So every day that he plays, he will improve.
And how is your group of cornerbacks improving week to week to start getting more crucial stops?
I'm sorry?
And how is your group of cornerbacks getting better and improving week to week to get more crucial stops?
You know, there's a new saying in college football. It used to be 50-50. If you could bat down 50% of the balls on defense and catch 50% of the balls on offense, then you would win the game. And now it's gone to 80-20. And we're getting more that number. The guys batted down a bunch of balls at Georgia Tech, and especially down the red zone, and gave us a chance to win early till we turned it over too many times. So I'm really, really pleased with the 2 corners. Feel like that they're getting better each week, but they're playing at a high level right now.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ross Martin, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Brown. I was wondering if the conversations during meetings with coaching staff, with players, have changed a little bit this week, or is it just same old week, prepare for Duke, or because of y'all's record now, 2-2, 1-2 in the ACC, is that part of the conversation, part of how you approach talking with your team and players in meeting rooms, or kind of leading up to this week? Like, you bring that up, things like that.
Yeah, Ross, I'm very, very direct and honest with the players and the coaches. And I tell them exactly what I see and what I feel. I told them about our expectations right now. Publicly, we're ahead of who we are. I've told them that we've got better players than we're playing, and that's on our coaches. And I've told them we're not giving up on them. They have a chance to win the last 8 games and have one of the best records in the history of this school. So, but here are the things we've got to fix, and we've got to fix them now. We've got to do better. And coaching's so weird. It's like one game doesn't lead to the other as much as it used to. You play a great game against Virginia offensively, and then you go to Georgia Tech and doesn't even look like the same team. And you think you've got things fixed, and then the issues pop back up. And then defensively, you still got the 5 to 7 mistakes. And are you doing too much with a young defense? So you got to look at it again and go back and do it. And it's obvious we haven't protected Sam enough. It's obvious we've turned the ball over too much. I show them all that. And I tell them, don't be mad at fans or don't be mad at media if they're mad at you, because they're expecting you to do well and win. And when you don't, you're going to get criticism. So that's part of life, and understand that. When you're successful, you probably get bragged on too much, and that's part of life too. So I have told them, Ross, that this is a really good week to learn how to handle adversity and handle it in your life, because at some point with your wife, with your children, in your family, you're going to have some issues in life, and football is a great teacher. And this week is a great week to see, are you a front runner and you're going to duck and run? Are you a finger pointer and you're going to start blaming somebody else on the team or your coach? Are you going to run to the transfer portal because things aren't good? Or are you going to get your confidence back? Are you going to step up? Are you going to learn from the tough loss and move forward and get better because of it? Always the talk about circling the wagons and getting your circle smaller, and everybody that you trust is inside, and not worry about fans. I learned a long time ago from a prominent lawyer in Houston named Joe Jamel, that was a dear friend of mine in Alex. I said, how do you handle all the criticism? And he said, I cut it down to about 6 people that I really trust that are very successful. And I talk to them about things, and I ask them things, and I listen to them. Why would I listen to somebody who isn't at practice or doesn't know what we're doing or how we're doing it or why or what we're trying to do to fix it, that doesn't even really know me? And that was the best advice I've ever gotten, because he was a tough attorney that had death threats. And he said, I stick to my small circle. And that's what you do on tough weeks. And I told the players that story. And I told them, like I did after Virginia Tech, if you don't want to hear bad things about yourself, don't get on the internet. Don't get on social media, because it's not going to be as good on the weeks you lose as it is on the weeks that you win. And that's fair. So we've had all those talks this week, Ross, and we've gone back to saying that we've lost 2 games more than the other teams have won them. And that's the sad thing. We haven't been beating ourselves around here. And I think part of it is we're trying too hard, and we're trying to be last year's offense, and we're not. We were against Virginia. We were the third quarter and fourth quarter, or third quarter for sure, against Georgia State, where we scored 21 points, but we haven't been the other time. So let's quit worrying about last year's offense, and let's figure about this year's offense. Let's get better on defense. We're more talented than to be middle of the league on defense and not getting turnovers. So let's grow up and let's pull together and let's play together. We haven't played a full game together as a team. We've had pieces. Even the offense played great against Virginia. The defense didn't. So let's play a game together and see how good we can be. And so we've got a lot left out there, and the guys have responded really, really well to that this week. We had 2 great days of practice against Virginia, and leading up to Virginia. We've had 2 great days of practice because of the respect they've got for the victory bell for this game, the rivalry, and for what Duke's accomplished in their 4 weeks.
All right, last question for Coach Charlie Mickens. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mack. You ran right into my question there. A couple of years ago, you won that victory bell in dramatic fashion. So do you talk to your team about it, to remind them about it? And because this is a big deal, especially for the guys over there in Durham.
Yeah, Charlie, you've been around here a long time. I told them when it was important enough many years ago for somebody to get a reward, that's a physical reward for winning a game, that doesn't happen much in college football. So that shows you the importance of the game. I've always talked to them about the importance of winning state games, in-state games, because the fans work together and they hang out together. They're buddies, and they go to church together, and they meet at the grocery store together, and fans love to pick at the other side. That's just what it is. That's what makes a rivalry, because the players may be friends and they may hang out some, but on Saturday for that game, it's really important. And I just asked the team to tell me how many, raise your hand if you had beaten Duke before we got here 2 years ago. and not one person on the team had beaten Duke. So they've done a great job as of late in this rivalry, and we expect a real challenge on Saturday. But and we need our fans. We need our fans for sure to help us get back on track and not give up on this team, because this team's got great things ahead, not good things ahead. We've just got to do a better job of helping them be consistent.
Thank you.
Coach, thanks for a couple of minutes. I think we made this work.
Thanks, everybody. Sorry we had to put up with some inconsistencies that I've been dealing with myself. So glad it worked, and I will see you guys on Saturday.
Great.